What are some basic things of writing a user story that is effective? Always think about the need of the user, right? Be concise, straight to the point. Be very clear in terms of what is your acceptance criteria, and also what is your definition of done. Can we all type the word definition of done real quick? Definition of done, everybody. Definition of done. Can we all type that real quick? Definition of done. So the definition of done is simply saying, okay, what exactly does it mean to be done? That's all. It's important we know that to eliminate confusion, because we want to make sure done to us means the user story has been accepted, we've tested it, and everybody feels good about it. Maybe that's the definition of done, but that should be spelled out, because we need to know what do we consider done in the project as a whole. Okay. All right. This is example of a user story, right? You can, as a customer, I want to add item to a shopping cart so that I can purchase multiple items at once. Acceptance criteria: item remain in cart until checkout or removal. Cart shows total item and cost. Item added from different category. Quantity cannot be modified or can be modified. So these are acceptance criteria with the user story, right? So for every user story, it's always very important to also sneak in an acceptance criteria also. Let me see 1 second. All right. Okay, I'm almost done with this. We'll run through this because we've talked about user story. This for banking. We'll move ahead. Healthcare. We'll move ahead. This is an example for us. For example, travel. As a traveler, I want to filter hotel by amenities so that I can accommodate that the needs. As several criteria, multiple filters apply simultaneously. So for every of our user stories, I want us to make sure we have acceptance criteria so that we can know what we are accepting. At the end of the day, what's the criteria to accept it? Okay. And this is just some general gist around it too. I'll skip some of this. Some reasons why user stories fail is too large or vague. So we want to make sure it's not just vague or large, it's precise. We include acceptance criteria, we keep it focused, and make sure we understand dependencies. Sometimes some stories cannot be moved forward because it's dependent on other features or stories. So understand dependencies and potential roadblock that can bring to us. So this is just our testing user stories, very important. At the end of the day, testing, testing, testing. We have to keep testing. Some tools we use to track user story. We are using Jira for this project. Trello is good, but it's mostly for the task. But Jira kind of helps us with the project side of things. We have to keep refining the backlog, right? So we have the product backlog, which has all the old user stories. We now pull those backlog into the sprint backlog or the weekly sprint backlog, so we can know what are we working on. That's where we pull that information from. Um, in Agile, our documents is they are living documents. You know, it's just to kind of give us enough. We don't have time for comprehensive documentation like waterfall. Another thing I'll just call out, typically epics are like large initiative containing multiple features. So for example, I can tell you a geolocation mapper that maps historic information in real time, something like that. That is a big, broad statement. It has not said anything. Now the features would be, you know, specifically allows tourists, investors, students to get real-time information on historic sites, on location history, news, current affairs of that location, whatever it is. The user stories even get smaller, right? We're talking about now the components for each of those features we are thinking of. We are breaking it down into smaller chunk so that the development team can actually build something that can be easily implemented at the end of the day. Remote agile team. We are remote agile team. In the past, the big one was always somebody is there. We're kind of talking through it, but now a lot of the work is remote. So there's virtual storyboarding or story mapping. We are doing video planning sessions. So mostly you see us do planning thing on the video. Then we have digital sprint board. We're going to use Jira in our class. So you see us, most of our work will be using Jira. All right. So ultimately we want customer satisfaction, story completion rate, make sure we have most of our user stories done. We have minimal defect ultimately, and we check what our velocity is, meaning what's the story point for us? If we have 5 stories, for example, that we bring into sprint one, the first story might be 3 points. So we just say 3 times 5. If it's three, if each one of those stories are three, it will be 3 times 5. That's 15. So that's the way we check the velocity. If you keep doing 15, 15, 15 for every week, then your velocity would be the average of how many story you bring in weekly. So that will be what your velocity will be. Um, Again, big one, you'll see us do a lot of A/B testing, usability testing, user interviews, analytic data. We're going to work a lot in terms of data, checking, samples, user experience, examples. We want to make sure we test a lot, test, 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 and even the UX. We have some tools, AI tools now people use for UX. We're going to build a lot of samples, then we choose internally and say which of this sample and why do we think is a good or better fit in general. Agile transformational journey, again, remember again, the whole principle of Agile is that we want to make sure we can break project into smaller sizes and implement much more efficiently ultimately. We talked about the challenges already. We'll skip that. And the summary of the best practice, focus on value, embrace iteration. We make sure we keep the prioritization of the backlog and we constantly collaborate. So that's really the gist of it in general. Um, Hopefully that was helpful to us. But that's a boot camp crash program on basic and overview of Agile. Hopefully you found that helpful. So without wasting time, thank you. We passed the time a little bit, but let's just sneak in another 5, 10 minutes. We'll be out of here. So Chinley would be leading thank you, Gemini, will be leading the project. So Chinley, we've created Jira, and I think you got the invitation already. Gemini, if you want to share your screen also, feel free to share so that we can have access to, we can show the team what Jira looks like. We can have a different session. Chinley is already knowledgeable about Jira, I believe. So for anyone that wants to kind of see how we navigate it, Gemini, feel free to kind of quickly show us, log into Jira, show us everything. Chinley, upload all your user stories, everything you are doing there, and we can just keep track. From tomorrow, I recommend we can meet 11 a.m., brief, straight to the point. We will just ask what everybody, you know, we can assign tasks to you, and you can just tell us, oh, yeah, nothing much, or you're still working on it. We'll just make it a practice as we build and learn together in that process, okay? Okay, that's all we got for now. I would like to thank everybody for participating, and we'll see you all tomorrow.